A couple of years ago, Be Quiet released their first mesh case with RGB accent, the Pure Base 500DX. The case received good reviews and offered good quality, good airflow and an aesthetic RGB stripe at the front. In 2022, Be Quiet released a soft refresh of the case as a part of their 20-year anniversary, the 500FX. Today we're going to take a look at the case, see how well it's built, how good the cable management is, and whether it's worth the asking price of roughly $150. Overall, the design hasn't changed at all when compared to the original 500DX. We have the same mesh front with dual RGB stripe, subtle Be Quiet logo, a set of I/O ports at the top. You still get a glass side panel, which you need to be careful with when removing from the case. There are no hinges or pins to hold it in place, so as soon as that last screw is out, it can easily fall out. I do like the fact that the included screws that hold the glass panel in place include rubber dampeners, which help eliminate vibration and noise that could be caused by it. The case is 450mm in width, 232mm in depth, and 443mm in height, and it does take surprisingly small amount of space on your desk, especially when compared to some dual chamber models. For example, my Lian Li O11R Mini, even though it's called Mini, it actually takes up more space on the desk due to bigger depth, 232mm versus 288 on the Mini. 500FX can house a GPU of up to 369mm in length and up to 7 slots thick, which means there's plenty of space for the GPU to breathe. Maximum air cooler height is 170mm. At the bottom, front and top there's an included dust filter. In order to take out and clean the front filter, you will need to pop off the front panel of the case, which is held in place by pins, so it's fairly easy to do. The back panel is made of steel and hides the cables, less worry about cable management, which is always a welcome thing. There you will also find all included accessories like screws, cable ties, etc., as well as the cables used to connect the front I/O fans and RGB. Okay, now time to move on to where the FX differs from DX, the amount and type of fans pre-installed, as well as the included fan and RGB hub. Out of the box you get an impressive 4 fans called light wings that include RGB lighting. At the front there are 3 120mm fans and one 140mm fan at the back. By default, the front fans are set to intake and the back fan is set to exhaust, which is the optimal configuration for this setup. In order to make sure every motherboard can easily handle such amount of fans and RGB, Be Quiet decided to include a fan with RGB hub, which is installed at the back where all the cable management happens. Most of the slots are already taken by the default fans, but you still have 4 more headers to use, 2 for fans and 2 for RGB. This is a great addition that first of all helps with cable management and second allows you for a better and easier control, especially applicable to motherboards with limited fan and RGB connectors. We still get to control the RGB effects with the button at the front, which allows you to cycle through a couple of built-in presets, which include rainbow effects, breathing effects, color transition and static color, which is my favorite. Of course, if you want to sync the case and fans with the rest of your components like GPU or RAM, you need to use the motherboard's RGB controller. If you want to know how to connect everything so it syncs up nicely, there's a dedicated video on my channel, link down below in the description. When it comes to cable management, everything is pretty simple and clear. You have cable ties behind, which can be used to route the cables. The included ones are already routed for you, which is a great touch as it will save you some time. One thing to note, however, is that you will be working with a slightly limited space in the back, so make sure none of the cables are sticking out too much, as it might prevent the back panel from closing or cause it to bulge. A little planning and that problem disappears, so it's not a big deal. In terms of storage, you can install up to 4 SSD drives, 2 of which can be displayed through the glass panel. You can also add 2 HDD drives, but then you will be limited to a slightly shorter PSU or smaller front radiator. With the HDD cage installed, it's up to 280mm. Without the cage, it can go up to 360mm. You can also install 240mm radiator at the top and 120 or 140mm at the back. Overall, the building experience in this case is a breeze. The only tight area is near the CPU, but that's usually the case, and a bit of planning can save you from fiddling around with CPU power cable. The cutouts which help route cables to a proper place are just in the right spot, and they help you with hiding most of the cables, so after finishing the build should look rather clean. Even the SSD that you can mount on the visible side are placed so that the connecting SATA and power cables can be nicely hidden. Let's hear how loud the case is when idle. And now, while benchmarking. As you can hear, the case at idle sounds like it's not on, which is great. The included fans do a great job of controlling the noise both while subscribing to my channel as well as gaming. I did play with the fan curves a little bit before doing the tests, but that is something you should do anyway. When under stress, the fan sound is also quite pleasant, not too high-pitched, and overall does not disturb your gaming sessions. So is this case worth $150 asking price? Let's see. 4 RGB fans out of the box, good build quality, included RGB and fan hub. That sounds like a great deal to me, and I think it really is. Plus the case is quite flexible. It can either serve as a pure air cooling build, water cool build, or a hybrid with AIO for the CPU. There's a lot of cases out there that cost more and give you less in return, but this case is not one of them. Plus you get a really tasteful RGB as a bonus. And that sums it up. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out my other videos which you might enjoy. I'm Laser, and I'll see you soon.